welcome back, everybody, to the Hacks Hangout on Edmonton Sports Talk. We are, of course, a proud member of the Heavy Hockey Network. Our apologies. We may have had an issue or two technical difficulties coming in here. Hopefully you can hear us okay. I'm Devin Davidson. I'll be your host this evening as Bruce Gunther is away having some fun in Swift Current. He's got a Christmas party. John's feeding cows. And so tonight you get me and you get Tyler. Tyler, how you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you guys?
Doing good. And, of course, we got a couple special guests here. Joining us, Ryan Black and Evan Diebert from Puck Dynasty. I guess we've got a bit of an announcement, boys. Might as well bring it out there right now. You guys are joining the Hacks. Going to make some sweet fantasy content, so we're happy to have you on.
Yeah, it's a good match.
That's assuming I can recover from this text from John. There is so much to unpack there, man. That is just... Is the old man his dad? Is it just an old man he works with that lost 17 teeth? Like, I can't figure it out, but we're happy to be here. Happy to be joining you guys.
For sure. Thanks for jumping on. Yeah, he's his dad. Yeah, 17 teeth. That's a lot of teeth. So, Tyler, you got some competition for who's losing the most teeth around here.
How do you do that?
I didn't get the story. Ryan and I we all walked into that group conversation, it sounded.
I don't even think I have that many left to lose, so.
Old man should consider himself lucky, you know?
Yeah,
you make it that far in life with 17 teeth, you're doing something right.
Yeah, good for him.
All right. Tonight should be a fun episode. We're going to get into the usual stuff here, Hacks highlights. We'll talk about the Edmonton Oilers and their recent stretch of games. We're going to get into Ask the Hacks, get a couple questions there, and then Hot or Not as we normally do. But yeah, I'm excited to have Ryan and Evan join us here on the show as regulars, I guess, on Wednesday nights, if you guys want to be. And then, of course, you'll be doing a Dynasty fantasy episode for us on a weekly basis. So maybe tell our listeners what they can kind of expect from you guys in terms of Dynasty fantasy hockey content each week.
Me? You want me to go? Well, first of all, don't expect us to know how to pronounce the word preface. First and foremost, word pronunciations aren't our thing. But we like Dynasty hockey. We like prospects. We're kicking it off this week with an inaugural World Juniors episode. You know, it's always an exciting time for Dynasty hockey and World Juniors. Good time to buy and sell guys there. We just look really, we're a 3 to 5 year kind of outlook. We're looking at guys to pick up now and rebuilds and tanking. You know, Tyler loves hearing me talk about tanks, so we're good at that. We're just, Dynasty hockey, long-term kind of stuff and a lot of prospect talk for sure with, a little bit of current stuff as well, because you can't just talk about teenagers the whole time.
Yeah, for sure. You got to mix in.
It gets to be a bit much because we like to dive into prospects. Ryan and I both love prospects. We've talked about prospects for a couple of decades now. But I'd say for Puck Dynasty, what we really want to aim to provide is what great value a player has. Not so much now, but maybe in 2 years from now kind of thing, and just kind of forecasting the future.
That's perfect. Because to be honest, that's something that we've been lacking on our show, Tyler, for the first couple, 2-3 years here.
Well, that and a lot of other stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, we come by our name, Fantasy Hockey Hacks, pretty honestly. To be, it's fitting. So that's great. But we're excited to have you guys on.
Lacking more teeth as of late, too,
And that, too, yeah. And as we get older, the hair as well. So what do you do?
That's enough.
Yeah, you fit in well, Ryan. You're in good company, buddy. Don't worry.
Oh, yeah, I fit in real good. Yeah.
Oh, man. All right. Since we're on that topic of Dynasty, Team Canada announced their roster. I'll be honest, I haven't really dived into that at all. Maybe give us a quick thought or two. Obviously, you guys are doing an episode on what's going on, but do you give it the thumbs up or thumbs down, or are you going to reserve judgment on the Team Canada roster this year?
I'd say it looks good so far. It's tough. Like Team Canada always has a couple guys that you're always looking at and saying, that was a snub or that kind of thing. Like Furcus from Moose Jaw was a guy we both thought would make the team, but Josh Dumas from the Quebec League, I was wondering if they would throw him on there because he is a top 6 player, but he looks like he made the squad too. So you had a goalie prospect that you liked that didn't make it, right, Ryan?
Yeah, the OHL goalie of the year last year. I'm surprised to make it. Davincentis. I thought he'd be challenging for that spot. As far as the team goes, I think there's still a guy coming because there's only 12 forwards listed. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a Benson or a Putra added late. But I don't think this is necessarily a favorite for the tournament as far as Canadian fans go. I think U.S. and Sweden look very, very good. U.S. especially, but open to being surprised.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Well, we won't dive into it too much, guys. I'd love to hear more, but I don't want to steal your thunder for your upcoming episode. So we'll maybe dive into that a bit later here.
I appreciate that. Who we got?
I just wanted to share this comment, Tyler, you saw from Surveyor Brett. I saw you smiling.
I seen that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Surveyor Brett, I'm sure you probably don't recognize me without a helmet on, but I'm sure we've run into each other a few times. He's probably kicked me out a couple times too.
Yeah. For anyone that doesn't know, if you play in the CCRHL, Tyler's, how would you describe yourself? You pretty much, you're like the Happy Gilmore of penalty minutes in the beer league there.
No, like I've been better this year. It's been many years of slowly trying not to be first in the league in penalty minutes. So I haven't been suspended this year, so that's pretty good.
You're making progress. You're evolving, Tyler. That's great.
I think ever since I got my teeth knocked out, I've been a little tamer. So
you got to evolve, man.
Yeah. Probably good reason.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Well, let's dive into the Hacks highlights here. Starting with the Edmonton Oilers, as we like to do on this show on Wednesday nights. They're on an 8-game win streak. And since the coaching change, they are third in the NHL in the penalty kill, 91.5%. First on the power play at 32.6%. First in goals for at 4.31. And eighth in goals against per game at 2.62. Ryan, I'm going to start with you, just simply because we had lots of conversations going back a few weeks. We had you on the Hacks podcast. Well, actually, this show, not that long ago, where you you put some ideas out there for how we could restructure the team, and Tyler loved them very much. And you were in a dark place, Ryan. You didn't think the Oilers were coming back. How do you feel about the team right now during their 8-game win streak?
I have a couple things to say about this. First of all, everyone knows me and the other Ryan Whitney, a lot. Because Whitney quit on the Oilers, gave him up, and I said sell everybody. And what happened? What happened immediately? It's like when your team does well when you're not watching. So I'm an Oilers fan. I'm happy we're doing well. I'm not ready to call this a cup team yet. I still look at some of the teams like LA out there, and I don't know how we're getting past those guys. But it certainly looks like we'll at least get a playoff spot, which bodes well for re-signing Draisaitl in the offseason, and that's one crisis averted anyways. But I'm happy to see they're doing well right now for sure. I mean, I still shudder when it's 3-1 with 5 minutes left. I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop, but they're looking good. I'm impressed by what I'd say the biggest surprise. A new coaching bump is a new coaching bump. Teams get them. I think Bouchard has been a revelation since bringing in Paul Coffey, of all people, who didn't even want to come and coach. The whole Diaz looked better, and Bouchard in particular really seems to have upped that side of the game. And then obviously he's on a 9-game point streak now, so that's still going well. Good for
Bouchard?
him. Good for us. Yeah, Bouchard.
12 games, right? Isn't it 12 games?
12 games?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right. We've won 9. Yeah. He's pushing. I think he's got the second longest point streak in Oilers team in history now, probably behind the assistant coach. But, he's looking great. And that's not a surprise. He was one of the guys we said early on would be a great value pick on the Puck Dynasty podcast. And I said top 3, and he's sitting number 3, and he's looking like he's going to stay there. I wouldn't be surprised if he clears 95 points this year, quite frankly.
Yeah, well, he's playing at a 95-point pace right now. He's got 18 points and 5 goals in that 12-game point streak. And you've been bullish on him for a long time. This goes back to, I think, last playoff, you and I were chatting.
When they traded Barry, pretty much from the time they traded Barry.
Yeah, you said it right away. You said he's going to go supernova. And he 65 points, you said, should be a cakewalk. And here we are, right? So...
Yeah, it was pretty funny watching guys, especially on Twitter, but all of social media, Reddit and all that stuff, saying, 70 points is a pretty big boost for a projection for Bouchard. And it was like, did you see him after he took over the power play? Not to mention what he did in the playoffs. as long as he's on that team and we're healthy, good or not, as we've seen, he's going to clear a point a game easily. So, and I would even say we haven't seen a hot streak from him yet. He's had a couple big games here, but like we haven't seen playoff Bouchard from last year yet. This year for an extended amount of time, I think he's still got a big run in him or two. So,
you mean 112 point Evan Bouchard?
112, yeah. Let's go.
Yeah, it's coming. Evan, I'll go to you next year. I just want to get your thoughts on the penalty kill. For me, that's been one of the biggest changes, right? Well, it's one of the most obvious changes with the new coach, but how much of that do you credit the coach and how much is Paul Coffey and how much is the Oilers just playing up to their standard?
I would say it's definitely the coaching that has brought in a new system, a little bit more of have some players on a tighter leash. I've been impressed with Darnell Nurse since the coaching change. I feel like they've simplified his game. Over the years, you've noticed he's tried to do too much out there. He's tried to make the fancy pass and things like that. So now he's kind of just making that simple play, and his play has really benefited from it.
Yeah, I'd say, well, there's a joke going around that since he got hit in the face with that puck, that's been the difference. And it seems to be working for him. So maybe every once in a while, just take a shot off the old noggin and warm up. You'll be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but the system's working well. And it's funny what confidence can do when you win a couple games and then you get some goaltending and everything just kind of starts to mesh. So Oilers are looking good right now, boys.
All right, Tyler, what do you think? And this would have been a good question for either of you, Evan or Ryan, but Connor Bedard versus Connor McDavid. What do you think of that first goal from Bedard early in the game there, Tyler? What a shot, hey?
It's filthy release, and to put it in that small of a spot from where he did, crazy shot. It's too bad he has nobody to play with on that entire team. And it's also good that they're expecting to be so bad because there's not a lot of first overall picks that come in where everybody knows, like, you're going to suck. This team is going to suck for the next couple of years, and we're okay with that. He doesn't have any pressure. Like when McDavid came in, that wasn't the case. I guess Adam Fantilli might be a little bit close to. Columbus probably doesn't want to suck as bad as they do, but crazy release. He can shoot the puck like nobody else can shoot the puck. So
that was Ekholm he did it too, hey? Like our best D-man.
Yeah. How does that shot compare around the league, Tyler? Like right now, he's 18 years old, whatever he is.
It's right there with Matthews. The release is, I think, probably going to end up being better than Matthews because he can shoot from every angle. Matthews really likes to kind of drag it around and shoot it, but Bedard can get a lot on it when it looks like you shouldn't be able to, and not a lot of guys can do that.
Yeah, it was impressive, no doubt.
Here's a question: what do you guys think he ends off at this year for points on such an awful Chicago team with no one else to play with? 70? Is 70 too much?
Yeah, no, our projection, we did a summer projection for Bedard, and we had it was 42 goals and 74 points, I think, was our projection. So he's a bit shy of that right now. I think he's on pace for about 35 goals, but he has nobody to play with, like Tyler said. So if he falls a little bit short of that, I'm fine with it. But yeah, we're bullish on Bedard in the summer for sure.
I'd say with Bedard, the thing that's going to be amazing, and you could see it through his junior career too, is that how much his processor, he just picks up on little things that'll work in the show. Like you saw those 2 goals he scored against Florida earlier in the year, where we went short side shelf on Bob, and he did a similar kind of pull into his feet snapper as well. So it's his AI is like, it's working. I think as the year goes on, he's just going to keep getting better and better.
Yeah, I agreed. And then Stuart Skinner. There's been a lot of talk over at Heavy Hockey. I know in the group chat, Tyler, I'm not sure if you're in there all the time, but lots and lots of talk about we need a new goaltender. At this point, Stuart Skinner's been absolutely phenomenal. 7 wins, 7-0-0, 934 save percentage, and a 1.70 goals against in this streak here. So I think, can we put the goaltender discussion to bed and maybe just we got to talk about bulking up the defense? What do you guys think?
No, absolutely not. We need a goalie. You can't, this is what happens when the team doesn't play pathetic. If they were still playing pathetic, he'd have like a goals against over 5 and a save percentage at 860. But because the team is actually playing like they should, he looks good. But he's playing too much. You like Pickard. Yeah, he had a good start there. He made 2 saves that he probably shouldn't have made, which is all you can really ask. You still need somebody else that can push Skinner for starts.
So that probably takes place closer to the trade deadline, right? Like at this point, they're not going to make a move right away. Do you expect that? I mean, they're still talking about bringing up Jack Campbell, which
no, that's not happening. He keeps on sucking in the AHL. Like you can't bring him up and have him play horrible and then send him back down. Like you already know you're going to buy him out in the summer. He's gone regardless. It's just a matter of, do you want to use assets during the year to solve it right now, move out his cap, and bring somebody else in? I don't think they're going to want to do that. I think they're going to use those assets to get a 4th line center and another defenseman. But they need another goalie. And there's other teams out there now that are looking for goalies too. So the sooner they do it, the better.
Yeah, Jersey's going to be in that market for sure.
Yeah. Vanacek and Schmid have been disappointing, to say the least.
Well, Carolina too.
Yeah.
Well, and the other question is even if Skinner plays like this, let's say he stays at .915 the rest of the year, do you trust him in the playoffs? Do you want someone who can actually come in and win if Skinner doesn't take the next step? Because we saw it last year. He got pulled in how many games? Had those right up against the goalpost goals he was letting in, and he wasn't the guy. So if you want to win, even make it to the conference finals this year, do you trust Stuart Skinner to do it? So are you looking for someone who can actually come and carry the team in the playoffs, or just take them off, every 4 or 5 games during the regular season?
You're looking for somebody that can come in the playoffs if you need to. You're looking
agree.
for a competent 1B goalie is what you want. Because right now, Calvin Pickard would be the guy that can spell them off every 4 games. Yeah. That's not what you need.
So who are we talking about here, though?
Yeah, who's available? Yeah.
So first couple teams that are carrying 3 goalies are guys that you'd have to look at. Alex Lyon would be one. Reimer. We've basically talk about it every week. But there's goalies out there. It's just a matter of what you want to give up to get them.
I've really warmed up to Sam Montembeault in Montreal. He's looked really good for them lately. Behind a not very good team. I know. But there was talk about that, right? Elvis Merzlikins was the other one. I think that's a really nice 1B if you could make it work. But we've talked about that too. The cap is a concern, right?
Yeah, you'd have to move Campbell in that deal and be actually further behind in regards to the cap. The other thing is that if they call Campbell up, they have to send 2 players down. So what's 2 players from the roster aside from Pickard? What's the other player that you want to set down? And it's not Gagne. And you're kind of out of options.
For sure. Maybe let's just switch to Gagne. I wanted to talk about him because, man, he's looked really good for them in a 4th line role.
He's the best. He's the best. The Oilers store, I don't know why they don't have his number available for me to buy, but I'm going to find it somewhere because he's the best.
Me and Diebert went and saw him in the Canada-Russia Super Series back in 2004 in Red Deer. Yeah. And I couldn't have been happier when he was the pick, and I've loved him ever since.
Yeah, 4 goals in 14 games right now. He's playing at a 41-point pace, 23 goals over an 82-game season. I don't expect 23 goals from Sam Gagne, but if we can get 10 to 15, I'd be over the moon about that.
Honestly, Gagne is one of those guys. Like, I'm not happy that Connor Brown's putting up goose eggs, but just seeing Gagne out there, his effort's unquestionable. He's a good 2-way player. He could put up 8 goals the rest of the way, and I'd still love to see him on the ice every single time. Like, he's just, if you're an Oilers fan, you love Sam Gagne. I don't know a single Oilers fan who's like, I forget that guy.
He could put up 0 goals the rest of the way, and I'd still love him.
Agreed.
I think he's the kind of guy that'll score a big playoff OT goal too for the Oilers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
We'll get that on a live stream come May.
Yeah.
Well, this is be recorded, so we'll play it on replay in the playoffs.
Yeah, he'll have to be your pick in the first OT game, David.
Has he been in the shootout yet this year?
No.
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 I want to see.
They've only gone to the shootout once or twice, I think, haven't they?
Yeah, I think just once.
For sure, the one time, yeah.
He has to be in it.
Yeah,
totally.
First up.
People should throw pop cans if he's not.
Well, they didn't have him out in the. I think that was the last episode that I was on here with. He wasn't out for the first shift of overtime or for the last 10 seconds to tie it. They didn't have him on the ice, and it was like, what are you doing?
When he had 2 goals.
When he had 2 goals, like he
Yeah.
single-handedly dragged him back into that game and gave us a chance.
Was like the end of Woodcroft. Nothing he could do was right at that point, huh?
No.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Anything else you want to touch on the Oilers before we move on? That'll do it for tonight.
Connor Brown. We don't need to go there. I'd love to see something for that money. That's the whole cap increase next year is Connor frickin' Brown. So let's see something. His 2-way play's been a little better, but he hit the post last night, so that's something.
Had a goal called back, so that was something.
That's true. Yeah.
Pathetic goal too.
Pathetic goal too. Yeah.
On this team, like Zach Hyman's the only goals called back we remember as Oilers fans, right? What do you got? 13 goals called back last year.
So many. One of the best contracts in the league, right there, Zach Hyman.
Yeah. Certainly the best UFA signing
ever. Pretty much, yeah. Probably ever for the Oilers.
Pretty good. Panarin's up there, and Hyman is what I can't get enough of. Are we allowed to shit on the Leafs here, or do we draw that on? Every day on Twitter, someone's putting up Hyman versus Matthews numbers, and I could just that is bank material for this guy.
All right, let's move to around the league here, guys.
Is that uncomfortable?
No, that's totally fine. This is a family show, but we'll just move on. David Perron was suspended 6 games for hitting Artem Zub in that melee that ensued after Dylan Larkin looked like he was murdered. It was
that was ugly, man. That was scary.
It was a rough situation, and there's a bit of history there with Matthew Joseph too, right? Like I don't know. I don't know if I really want to get into that whole situation, guys. But Perron 6 games seems a little heavy. The NHLPA is appealing it. Do you think there's any chance he gets less than 6 games?
Well, here's the question. Are you saying that 6 games is heavy, or 6 games is heavy compared to Jacob Trouba the week before?
Yeah,
because I think 6 games for what he did is fine, but not compared to Trouba getting nothing for a slash to the head.
Yeah, I just think there's
compared to Ben getting nothing for breaking Larkin's neck 2 years. You know, like it's just,
what about
it's
Matthews on Dahlin? Remember that one when he just
right? It was the same thing.
Same thing. And Matthews got a fine.
And that's what's crazy to me is like 6 games for that as a fan of hockey and as a guy who likes to have his players in his fantasy lineup night to night. I want to see plays like that punished consistently. 6 games is fine, but in the appeal, I think they got a lot of other suspensions or fines to point at and say, how is this 6 and that was $5,000? I don't understand it. I don't know how George Peros has a job.
Good point. And then speaking more rough stuff, Eric Goodbranson suspended 1 game for ragdolling Nick Cousins. I don't know if you guys saw any of that game. I can see Goodbranson's frustration. I said this on our Sunday show. Like he gets. And Tyler, I want to get your thoughts on this because generally you're like, the hit was fine, right? You're a little more lax on this stuff. What did you think of that hit from Nick Cousins on Goodbranson?
I didn't think it was that bad. He didn't leave his feet. Like you don't want to hit somebody in the numbers that far away from the boards. He was close enough to the boards that it wasn't like egregious, but he turtled twice. After that.
Yeah.
He should get 6 games for turtling.
We call that the Kachuk effect is what that is. It's Kachuk on Florida. He's teaching those guys well.
Yeah, and that's probably why he only got 1 game for what he did, for jumping him. Like, that's what happened.
Yeah. He would have killed him.
You would think if it was a different situation, they probably would have got more games for doing that. But I think you turtle twice. If you want to hit people like that, you should be able to stand there and kind of face the music. Sure. And it was kind of funny though that Branson acted like he was dead and then just like shot out of a cannon and tried to attack him and he just turtled. Maybe he was so scared. He was just so surprised that he just didn't know what to do but turtle. So
I don't know.
Did you see when he came back from the locker room and he told Pascal Vincent that he was going to get him? He was like, I'm going to get him. I'm going to get him. It's, you know what? I don't understand how the refs. So they'd called a 5-minute major on the play, and then they rescinded it when they reviewed it. I don't see why they would have rescinded that. Like it was a hit from behind, and the guy went pretty much headfirst into the boards, and he was bleeding. And so the refs just caused that whole melee afterwards. That was basically it. He should have been gone from the game, and that would have been it.
I hope Surveyor Brett's still listening, but refs cause that. Refs cause that stuff a lot. Like,
for sure.
If they would have just maybe it shouldn't have been 5, but you could have still gave him the 5, and he would have been out of the game, and that would have been the end of anything else happening. And maybe he doesn't, nothing happens, and it's all just from just calling the penalty.
I totally agree. To Evan's point, they just did a poor job managing the game. Because when Goodbranson came out and said, "I'm going to get him," it was like, you messed up, right?
I think the only time the refs did it properly is when they just gave everybody 10-minute misconducts.
Yeah, everyone on the ice.
Beautiful.
Everybody on the ice, 10 minutes. There's nobody left on the bench, and nobody did anything because there's nobody there to change with. So,
well, and not that they should have given him more than a game, but he said, "I'm going to get him" to the coach, and then he goes and gets him. It's just, the mixed message this league sends with its suspensions are just it's so frustrating to watch. You just want it to be consistent. That's it.
Yeah. All right. We got a couple minutes here, then we should take a quick break. But first, let's talk about Patrick Kane. Bruce said here, is Patrick Kane is back? And then I said maybe. He scored his first goal of the season on Saturday. Unfortunately, that's just his first point, and he's got a -5 rating to show through 4 contests. Shot volume looks good, deployment's good, but, I mean, realistically, from a fantasy perspective, do we expect much from Kane this year? And maybe, Evan, I'll go to you first. What do you think?
It's so hard because it's like no one's ever come back from this surgery before. So it's the hip resurfacing is a tough one. But, we listened to Kane. He was on TNT with them saying that he's moving better than he's moved in a couple seasons. So take his word for that. And then, but ultimately, if he starts to get meshing, and it's going to take him a little while to get going here, but once he starts to mesh with Cat and Comfer, I think they were starting him out with, then I can see him being a 0.8 point per game player. Yeah. Yeah. Whether, his plus minus is great or not, but Detroit just seems to be rolling right now. And so it's they're hitting from all cylinders, and once Larkin gets back, and I would say not quite yet, but after the new year, I think we'll start to see him pick up pace.
Tyler, how many games do you need of Kane before you send me a trade request for Connor McDavid or something silly like that?
Couple more. I think that 0.5 to 0.8 points per game for the rest of the season is pretty realistic. It looks like it's going to take a little bit longer than I thought for everything to mesh there. But you've seen on that goal that one goal that he did get, classic Patrick Kane.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, guys don't miss camp and come in without missing a beat, let alone have a major surgery, miss camp, and then not miss a beat. So I think once we hit late January, February, 0.8 points per game, 1 points per game, that sounds pretty good. Before then, you hold and you wait, because he's a guy who might help you in the fantasy playoffs, but he'll probably hurt more than he'll help until then.
All right, fair enough. We got about 20 seconds here, guys. So I think we'll take a quick break here. When we do come back, we're going to talk about the Washington Capitals and their planned move to Alexandria, Virginia, which from all photos I've seen looks like a ghost town. And then I want to get your thoughts on Pyotr Kochekhov's poke check on Brady Tkachuk. So we'll be back here shortly. Hey, welcome back to the Hacks Hangout on Edmonton Sports Talk, a proud member of the Heavy Hockey Network. If you haven't done so, and I should have mentioned this at the top, make sure you subscribe to Heavy Hockey Net on YouTube. You never miss an episode. The boys, Michael and Dash, are on Tuesday nights. They do Oilers Live. Check them out as well. And then be sure to follow us on Twitter at FHHacks. where you find all of our good stuff there, recent episodes, and maybe some good stuff from Tyler every once in a while. Or maybe not. All right, guys. So we talk about the Washington Capitals and their arena situation. This seemed to kind of come out of nowhere. I wasn't aware of any sort of imminent arena deal coming down the pipe, but looks like they're moving to Alexandria, Virginia. And any thoughts? I mean, the arena looks fine, but they're moving, I guess it's 20 minutes south of where they are currently in downtown DC.
I think it's kind of weird. I know that maybe this is just a play because he's not getting the lease terms that he wants for the renewal. But they just built that building in 1997. So they don't need a new building. And I mean, it's just not good for DC moving to a ghost town just to build a entertainment district. So, but there's obviously a lot of money involved, and that's all that this is.
Did you guys see that the night that they announced the press conference in Virginia, the mayor went live like an hour later and said they were going to do a $300 million reno on the barn, and oh, there it is. Also announced a different lease that they were going to offer them. Like, the panic was very, very real. An hour after they announced it, that came out.
And this is why you do it. Like, just like,
We lost you, Tyler. Can you hear us?
Yeah, that was my bad. Same kind of thing. Like when the Oilers were selling and you're like going down to, I think they went to Seattle and they went to Houston, and then you ended up getting the deal you wanted. So maybe this is the same thing. And maybe he's just going to get paid a whole bunch of money by Virginia to do this.
I would guess on that one. I think this is just billionaires trying to get the best deal that he can possibly get. I don't think owning a sports team is worth anything if you don't have your own like district with real estate surrounding it and all that. So yeah, it's just Leonis just kind of just being like, well, these guys will give me a better deal over here and they'll give me a bunch of land, and so I'm going to take that.
Billionaire chicken.
Yeah.
All right. Kochetkov, what did you guys think? I've been seeing lots of Discord about this on Twitter. Like, any issue with the poke check on Brady Tkachuk?
It's awesome.
No.
I love it.
That's shades of Marty Brodeur and Marc-Andre Fleury, and yeah, I love it.
Brady Tkachuk just finds something to be upset about all the time. He is just a giant baby, and I think it's great.
Yeah, I had no issue with it. See it lots, right? I've seen Marc-Andre Fleury make that same play a million times. Like, I don't know what people are so fired up about. The guy's fine.
Well, with Kochetkov's history in the A, when he gets emotional like that, he plays better. So that was a great sign for the Hurricanes that he's like getting that swagger behind him in the pros now, because he pulls stuff like this in the AHL often. So it's great to see.
Okay, I could see. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, you heard it here first. Ryan's endorsing Kochetkov, so if he's available in your league, go grab him right now.
Oh, yeah.
Well, is Carolina going to, like, they're a great defensive team historically. This is, what are you going to, all of a sudden, you're going to have guys on podcasts saying to sell the whole team? This is stupid.
It's happened. It is stupid, but it's happened.
Kochetkov will be, I think that he's worth having the rest of the way, in my opinion. And they got assets, man. Carolina is a scary team if they decide to push all in. They have a ton of guys coming up that they could move to be a real threat in the East. They just got to find I mean, that game against, did you guys see the interview with Brendan Moore in our game after the first period? He said we're on track to lose 50-0, and it's the worst game he's seen them playing forever. Like, he's right. Carolina is not that team.
Well, and Svechnikov is out again. So he's going to be on the IR. So yeah, Carolina's got I understand why they didn't go for it last year, because the East was everyone was just stacking their team and the prices were crazy. So I can see why they wanted to wait, but I think they got to go all in this year.
There you go. Okay, we got Kyle Connor just came out that he's going to miss 6 to 8 weeks with lower body injury. I didn't like the play from Ryan Strome. Not a good look. Not a good injury. I'm rostering Kyle Connor in one of my teams. So he's going to be out for a couple months here. We've got a couple of replacement options. I'll go around and get each of you to say who you like here. So Gabe Vilardi, Thomas Hertl, Sean Couturier, or Mikael Granlund. Evan, who do you like?
Good question. I'd go with Thomas Hertl. I like the little streak he's been on since their 0-11 start, I think it was. He's a point per game player in that time frame, and he's got 8 points in the last 6 games. And San Jose seems to be like figuring some things out. He's got some good chemistry going on with Eklund there, and Granlund, like you said, on the same team, he's playing well. So I would go Hertl.
I like it. Tyler, who you got for us?
I'd probably just say Vilardi. Coming back from injury, so I think he's going to take a little bit of time to be able to kind of fill his shoes. Nobody's going to be able to score the way that Connor's been scoring this year.
No.
But playing on the top line and taking his spot as a player that's already there, that's the guy that I would take.
Good internal replacement for sure. And Ryan, who do you like?
Yeah, one of those two guys. I think if your league dings plus minus too hard, you go with Vilardi, and if it doesn't, you go with Hertl.
Okay. The St. Louis Blues fired head coach Craig Berube on Tuesday night following a 6-4 loss to the Detroit Red Wings. The Blues were 3-7 in the last 10, have a minus 14 goal differential, and they sit 6th in the Central Division. Any thoughts there, guys? Is it time to kind of make some changes there in St. Louis?
Yeah, this wasn't really Berube as much as it was the GM. I think the team is kind of what everybody sort of expected him to be. I think Berube is more like he's the perfect coach if you're just about there and you need to get over the hump. That's the kind of coach you need. So he pushes pretty hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I had heard that he maybe had a couple issues with Kyrou, which might explain some of Kyrou's play this season. But they definitely needed a different voice there. Probably another GM.
What's crazy to me is that Berube gets fired on a team that's probably, I would argue, better than I thought they would be this year, and somehow DJ Smith still has a job.
Yeah, they've decided to really push their chips in with DJ Smith. Hey,
dude, I have never seen I haven't seen the fire the coach chants ever like they have been in Ottawa, and they're just not listening. Like it's like game in, game out, there is an audible fire DJ chant, and they don't care. They don't care, and it's stupid because that roster should be in the conversation for a playoff spot, and they're just sinking and sinking and sinking. Like I don't understand how that guy still has a job, especially with the coaches that are available right now. I would think that Woodcroft would be a great fit in Ottawa.
I wonder if it's just the guy that they want hasn't either been released yet or hasn't been told he's allowed to talk to him yet. And
yeah,
if it was Woodcroft, who's still under contract after what happened with Steos, I probably wouldn't let him talk to him yet either.
Well, and I suspect it is Steos because he's been beating the stability drum since the day he got in front of a mic there. So I get it, but like Smith ain't the guy. You're not getting more from him than what you're getting. It'd be different if it was actually a good coach, but Smith is trash.
Yeah, they just don't want to go interim coach. That's the thing, and I would imagine that they're going to be getting a new GM. So when they hire a GM who is probably working for someone as we speak, then they'll let him pick the coach. So they're just in like this holding pattern right now and just wait and see what happens. But it's got to be frustrating for Ottawa because it's like, okay, we got these young guys, like we should be battling for a playoff spot, but they just keep sinking.
Yeah, disappointing for sure. We talked about them lots in the summer. We thought they're going to be a playoff contender.
Yeah, well, I mean, the general consensus was one of Detroit, Buffalo, or Ottawa was going to come and steal a playoff spot, and that's what it looks like. That's what's happening. But the two of those teams just aren't nearly taking the step that I think a lot of people thought they would.
But on topic with St. Louis there, it was time for for a coaching change. Like you had mentioned, Kyrou just has not put up a good start to the year. Like he was good offensively last year, but awful defensively, like a -34 or something. And their defense hasn't done much. Binnington is wishy-washy at best back there. So St. Louis is going to be entering into like a new phase of the rebuild, but luckily they got some good prospects on the way. They got Dvorsky, Snuggerud, Stenberg, Dean, Bolduc. So they got a good offensive talent on their way. But yeah, a new voice was needed in that room.
Neighbors is doing well. Snuggerud's going to light up the World Juniors too.
Yeah, Dvorsky, Snuggerud, World Juniors. St. Louis is well represented.
There you go. Okay. Max Pacioretty, so we're talking about the Washington Capitals. He was on the ice for the first time Wednesday wearing a no-contact jersey. Obviously had that Achilles issue. Still a player to watch in fantasy, Tyler?
I don't know. It's been a long time. And a lot of Achilles. Achilles is...
He's like a cat, this guy.
He really is.
Yeah.
I depending on how deep your league is, like if it's deep, then probably keep a spot for him. But
yeah,
I don't know. In a 10-team league, I probably wouldn't.
And
you probably would, but I would.
Well, I don't. I err on the side of caution. I'll grab a guy just to stash him for a bit and then see how it goes. Like if I can, right? Sometimes you just can't make it work, but it's worth, I think, a look. A guy like this who great shot rate in the past, has been a competent goal scorer, but he's also 34, 35 years old now, which, Tyler, you know is old.
I think we all know that's old, Devin.
We do, yeah, especially in hockey years, but I like to rib Tyler about it.
I'm like 5 minutes older than you, but...
Yeah, that's a true story, yeah. All right, Alex Tuch returned to the Buffalo Sabres lineup tonight against the Colorado Avalanche. His production's down from last season. I think he's on a 66-point pace versus the 88 he put up, or roughly last year. But that kind of seems to be a consistent theme in Buffalo this year, too. There's a few guys that are struggling.
Get out of here. You guys weren't talking about JJ Peterka this summer?
We were. Yes, we were talking about JJ. And you know what? He's been great.
JJ's been great.
He's been great.
He's been a revelation. But everyone else is.
But Tuch is struggling, right? I mean, Tage Thompson has been a real disappointment for a lot of people that invested early draft capital in that guy. UPL has been awful. Devin Levi has been not totally unexpected, but he hasn't been as good as all the preseason hype.
Watch for him right now. Now that Buffalo is actually playing D, he's put together 3 good starts since they called him up.
Okay, watch Tyler grab his phone right now.
No, I already looked. I don't like it. I think this is more of what Alex Tuch is. I don't think he's an 88-point player.
I agree.
I agree with that too.
Yeah. I think he's a 60-point player in a good season. Consistent 60-point guy.
Yeah, he's an 80-point player when Tuch puts up 100, maybe, if he's getting all the ice.
But when Huberdeau puts up 115, Tuch will put up 88.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, thankfully and beautifully, that'll never happen again. You know, a bunch of Oilers fans and an Avs fan here. I don't think we'll ever see the day of a 70-point Huberdeau again.
What a train wreck! What an absolute! I think he's available in every league I've looked at.
Mm. Well, and Tkachuk is on pace for like 59 points or something like that too.
Yeah,
which is closer to what he actually is.
We're not sad about it, Tyler.
No, not at all. Not even a little.
I think Tkachuk's probably 80 though. Hey, like he's not 115, but I think 80 is a normal year for Tkachuk.
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah,
it should be.
Okay, we're gonna move on to everyone's favorite player to talk about. Evan, I want to get your thoughts on Martin Jones, who made 28 saves in his first start for the Maple Leafs, a 7-3 win over the Rangers. Obviously, with Joseph Wold on the shelf for a little bit here, it's gonna be put upon Martin Jones and Ilya Samsonov to carry the load for the Leafs. Any interest in Martin Jones as a streaming option when he's available?
Yeah, why not? Like the Leaf goalie carousel and the drama show that they have going on is just, it goes year round. And from what I've seen, Samsonov just can't string together a few wins in a row, a few good games. So I think Jones could take this and roll with it. And he actually he dragged Seattle to the playoffs last year too. And so the guy when the back's against the wall, he's a gamer.
I like it.
I think he's what you hope if you're a fan of Jack Campbell that Jack Campbell ends up turning into.
Hey, there you go.
If that isn't the saddest statement in Oiler fan history.
What was Martin Jones' contract that he got bought out?
No, you're absolutely right. But if you think back to the week before Jack Campbell signed that deal and the copium that Oilers were ingesting, going, yeah, maybe Campbell's the guy. And now it's, oh, Jack, if you could just be Martin Jones. That would be like begging for Evan Bouchard to be John Klingberg. Like, what are we doing here?
That's rough. That is rough.
It's where we're at.
No, it's a very astute observation. It's just sad. It hurts a bit.
Ryan, let's talk about Mackenzie Blackwood, who stopped 36 of 37 shots in a 2-1 win over the Jets on Tuesday. Surprisingly, there's actually some fantasy value to be had in San Jose this year, despite how bad they are.
Shot totals, man.
Yeah, look at those shot totals. Going to face a ton of shots.
30 shots every night. Yeah, the thing is with goalies like that is he's either going to win you the week in your goaltending. If you're categories, he could win you the categories. If you're points, he could get you a lot of points, or it could be a -4 every single night that week.
Just tank your goaltending.
Yeah,
for sure.
like he's like, I mean, when he's impressive, but like no one was betting on San Jose to beat the Jets 2-1 last night.
No, it's a boom or bust pick, no question.
Yeah,
and
totally.
Yeah.
He's a Hail Mary. You need a Hail Mary, go ahead, put him on your roster. If you're winning your goalie categories, are you insane? Do not take Mackenzie Blackwood.
There you go. Good advice. All right, guys, let's move on to Ask the Hacks here. We got just a couple quick questions. The professor
Let
asks,
answer this one first. Let Devert answer
this first one. Okay. Who should I keep for the rest of the season? Travis Konecny or Adrian Kempe? Evan, give us your thoughts.
Well, not to take anything away from Konecny, who's having a great year this year, 24 points in 25 games, and a surprising +11 on Philly. But I would go Kempe all the way. He's just a threat every time he's on the ice. And he actually gives me the vibe, like the Leon Draisaitl, like means business on the ice kind of vibe. And he's only got 9 goals so far. I actually predicted he was going to put up 50 this year. So he needs to get on a little bit of a heater here to make me look good. But yeah, I would go Kempe. I think just because LA is such a wagon, and and he's just gonna keep up the point per game pace all the way.
That would have been my response too. I agree with that. I like Kempe for his goal scoring ability and just the fact that LA is so good.
Well, and just to add to that is LA is going to the playoffs and has Stanley Cup aspirations. And as soon as Philly falls off, the supporting cast around Konecny realistically is getting sold, right? Like Philly should be selling once this Tortorella effect kind of dims a bit, which it inevitably will. So, yeah, Kempe all the way there for me.
And Kempe's still on pace for 28 goals right now. And that's, for him, that's down, no question.
I think he'll hit 40.
Like his shooting percentage is at 10.7%, and his career average is 12.4. Last 3 years, he's been closer to 15%. So, I think Evan, he's going to hit 35 all day.
Yeah.
All right. Next question here. And this kind of ties in with our Hot or Not segment, but is Alexander Ovechkin droppable at this point? Is anyone here looking at him and going, what the hell is going on?
Well, yes.
Well, yeah.
No.
Who's dropping Ovechkin? Who in this room is dropping? Like,
No, for sure. No one's dropping Ovechkin. But what do you like at this point? You just kind of have to sit with him, right? You're not going to get the trade value for him.
No, you have to hope that you got him in like the 5th or 6th round, and just hang on to him.
So then the next question too, just to follow up, where are we at in terms of his ability to break Wayne Gretzky's goal scoring record? Because and we've talked about this on our show too, Tyler. I think you and I had this conversation already, but I'd be curious to know what Ryan and Evan have to say, because I mean, age-related decline can come in pretty quick and pretty hard. And it doesn't look good for Ovechkin. He's declining. He's getting older. The team around him isn't getting any better.
That's all fair, but the only thing I would say is I think this is probably the third time that people have had that conversation about Ovechkin in the last 7 or 8 years. We thought he was done when he only put up 30 goals. We thought he was on the decline. I don't know what's going to happen. I sure hope he breaks the record because I think it would be great for hockey. But I don't bet against Alex Ovechkin. That guy, he can still fire him.
Yeah, I would say he's going to break the record. And even for this season, nobody thinks he's shooting at 5% shooting percentage right now.
Yeah.
Nobody in the right mind thinks it's going to stay that way, especially over the last 6 years, he's averaged about 15% of shooting percentage. So he will progress more, but I haven't watched a lot of Washington games, but from what I've read is that, he's been pretty stationary out there. He isn't moving. It's almost like he's not trying as hard as Ovechkin would try. And so yeah, I think something needs to light a fire under his ass to get going. But yeah, I think he's still. How many is away from Gretz? Roughly?
Well, when we had the conversation, it was about 72 or 73 goals.
I don't think
you could
much
Google
has
it and correct me,
changed
but
since then.
yeah, no. So, he's about
72.
70.
Yeah, somewhere in that range, right?
Yeah, that's too close to pack it in. And Washington's Washington's just going to let him play until he breaks it, and then
I think if they bring in a player or two that he really wants to play with or would enjoy playing with, or there's some chemistry there, he'll do it in no time. But that whole team just is missing a bunch right now.
Well, like Evan had said, he's shooting at 5%, but then the 5-on-5 shooting percentage is at 6% right now. So he's not getting any puck luck. He's not shooting at the same. And actually, his shot rate, 11.1 shots on goal per 60, is the lowest we've seen from him since 2011, 2012. So he's just shooting the puck less, too. There's just lots of things going on that should correct itself. We'll see where it goes. All right, let's move on to hot and not. We can probably we got up to an hour and a half for you guys if we want. So we'll get through this segment here, and then we'll probably call that a day. So let's kick it off here. Hot and not. Mikael Granlund, center right wing eligible, 39% rostered in Yahoo. He's in the midst of a near career season, currently on pace for 70 points, with 18 points and 3 goals in 21 games, playing 21 minutes a game, 73% power play share. My question to you guys, and I'll go through this with each of them, is he a short-term streaming option or a season-long hold? How do you see that playing out for Mikael Granlund? Ryan, I'll go to you first.
Short term.
Short term?
Yeah.
Alrighty. Evan?
I'd say season-long hold. I think he's getting best opportunities had in a while, and so I think he's gonna run with it.
Okay. Tyler?
I mean, I don't know. He's just a kind of a nothing player. I don't know.
No interest, 0% interest. Okay.
No,
is that an option? I thought it had to be short term or no. I don't want it.
You're new. You don't have that option.
Oh, short term. Shit.
Yeah, Tyler just plays by his own rules. He's done that since he's been on the pod, so that's fine. I guess for me, aside from he's got a 72% IPP, which is high for him based on his past few seasons. But there's really no underlying concerns. I looked at all of his underlying metrics, and I would sort of tend to agree with Evan that based on the deployments and everything else, he probably could maintain similar production throughout, assuming he stays healthy. But yeah,
I got your underlying concern right here. San Jose scored 11 goals in their first 11 games.
That is a problem.
So, I get that Mike Greer's little rah-rah speech got him going to the point where they have won some games they shouldn't have. But the real San Jose Sharks are somewhere between who we're seeing now and who we saw in the first part of the year. And at the end of the day, again, that's a team that is motivated to lose come draft time. So, yeah, that's why I'm not buying them.
All fair points. All right, guys, what about Chandler Stevenson? 22% rostered in Yahoo, 65% in Fantrax. He went 9 games with just a single assist, and that brought his 82-game pace down to 49 points. But he's got 6 points, 3 goals, 3 power play points in his last 4 games. Looks like a solid option in the top 6 and on the second power play unit. Tyler, any interest in Chandler Stevenson, and is he a short-term streamer or a season-long hold?
I think he's a season-long hold. I had him, and then somebody dropped William Karlsson, and I kind of made the switch there and upgraded just a little bit. Otherwise, I'd still have Stevenson. He's a good bottom end of your lineup guy, and
Yeah, I
consistent.
picked him up. Yeah, thanks,
good.
buddy.
You're welcome.
Evan, what do you think? Chandler Stevenson, short-term stream or long-term season-long hold?
I'd say it's season-long hold. Just playing in that top 6 in Vegas, and if you're in a cap league, his value is great. It's probably the last year that his value is going to be great in a cap league. But I'd go season-long there.
He's getting paid this summer, you think?
Oh yeah. He'll be like Anthony Cirelli, where it's like great hockey player, two-way force, 45, 50 points, but he just can't afford the 6.5.
Cups.
Yeah.
Cups, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was in Washington too, wasn't he?
He was in Washington, yeah. He was actually, he came into our office this summer, and everyone was like, "Hey, Chandler, what are you doing grass?" And I just looked and I said, "I can't." I'm sorry. Congratulations, but I can't.
Just just to preface that conversation, Ryan.
Yes.
See what I did there? Yeah. It's just so everyone knows Ryan works in Saskatoon. Chandler Stevenson, if you don't know, good Saskatoon boy, right? So, and his uncle happens to work with you.
Yeah, and I mean, there's just NHL players walking by my desk all day, every day. Besides that,
consistently, that's just how it rolls.
It gets old.
Yeah, especially when they're from the Vegas Golden Knights, I guess.
Oh, I hate those guys. My answer for Stevenson is the same. Good bottom of the roster guy. But I mean, the thing I realized about Vegas too is last year their highest scorer, Jack Eichel, had 69 points. So they are a team that stretches it around. Yeah, he's a good bottom of your roster guy, but I'd be looking to do a Tyler and flip him to an upgrade if you can, for sure. He's the guy I'm dropping when someone drops someone they shouldn't.
I think he ends up with like a Vinny Trocheck contract next year.
Yeah, that's a good comparison
for a different team.
Yep. The only thing I have an issue with Chandler Stevenson is his shot rate. He just doesn't shoot the puck a ton, right? So that just leads to less production overall. But other than that, I like Chandler Stevenson. Matt Duchene, Tyler, we've talked about him lots in the summer, talked about him in the preseason. Center right wing eligible for the Dallas Stars, 53% roster in Yahoo, 78% in Fantrax. He's on pace for 66 points over a full season with 21 points and 7 goals in 26 games. He's playing with Tyler Seguin. He's playing with Mason Marchment. Looks pretty good. He's got a 13.2 5-on-5 shooting percentage, which obviously is going to cool down some of his production. What do you think? Season-long hold or short-term streamer?
Short-term streamer. For me.
He's just hot. Enjoy that production. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Ryan, what do you think?
First, I meant to say, did you guys see the discrepancy between Yahoo and Fantrax on Stevenson? That is insane. 22% owned in Yahoo, 65 in Fantrax. There's a case study to be had there. Duchene, you know what? I'm in the league that I am really trying to win this year. I have Robertson and Hintz, so I've been watching the Stars closely. Matt Duchene has been their friggin' best player, like night in, night out. It's annoying. Like, that line is absolutely crushing it. And they look really, really good. Marchment looks to have regained his form. That's the has something to prove line, and I think that they'll keep doing it for the whole year. With any luck, for me, the top line will start carrying the mail a little bit more, and those guys will kind of slow down a bit. But I'm not looking to move Duchene at this point.
I've got him rostered in one league as well, and he's been pretty good for me. So I'll say season long hold as well. Evan, what do you think?
Yeah, Ryan took the words out of my mouth. Yeah, he's got something to prove after being bought out. Happy to be in Dallas, and that line is rolling. And I wouldn't bet against the Stars. I would bet for the Stars to pick it up here in scoring wise.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's hope that comes to fruition for my hint stocks.
Buy low on Miro, man. If it's not too late, buy low on Miro.
All right, I think I've got the answer for this one, guys, but you tell me. Michael Carson for the Arizona Coyotes, 39% rostered in Yahoo, 39% in Fantrax, 8 goals in his last 10 games. He's currently on an 82-game pace of 52 points and 43 goals. but he's got a 35-ish, 16.6 Tevish, and just 11 minutes time on ice. So short-term streamer. Anyone else disagree?
Hold him. Just hold him.
I'd be offering him for Ovechkin right now. Is what I'd be doing.
There you go. That sounds like a trade that may occur in one of the leagues we play in, Tyler.
Yeah.
We actually talked about this last week. I think if you grab a guy off the waiver wire and make a trade for a value player, that's just
nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
Every time you grab someone who's on a heater like that, you think like maybe this is the one. Maybe this is the guy that's going to break out and become the next one. Yeah, it usually falls on his face after a couple weeks.
There you go.
We're about to talk about the guy I just did that for, so I'm hopeful. This is the time.
This is the guy, Jakub Slavin?
No, next guy.
Oh, next guy. Okay. Yeah. Well, we'll talk about Jakub Slavin here quickly. 62% rostered in Yahoo, 74% in Fantrax. We've talked about him recently on our Sunday night show, but good production. 6 points his last 7 games. He's on pace for 50 points and 9 goals over a full season. Is this a guy for you, Evan, that you're going to hold on to season long, or is he just a short-term streaming option?
It depends how many roster spots you got for D in your league, but like he's having a great year, so you hang on to him as long as he's producing. But once it starts to dip, I think you start to look to replace him.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think just the lack of power play deployments, like he's playing about 21 minutes a game, so I think his ice time overall is down based on what we saw last year, and he's not getting that power play time. So for me, yeah, if he starts declining in production, I'm looking to move on too, probably. Tyler?
I think in a deeper league, like for your 6th defenseman, I would probably hold him just because there's not a lot of other options out there, especially in a deeper league.
Mm-hmm.
But that would be the only time.
Okay. And Ryan, since you're so anxious to get to the next guy, we're just going to move on to him. So what do you think?
Hold on. I can add to this.
Okay, what do you got for us?
I agree with it. He's a great 5-6 if you're in a 5-6 D league.
Okay.
The thing to note about Slavin that's nice is D'Angelo isn't playing anymore, and Burns is very much in decline. So his power play time could actually go up because there's not like they're spreading that around. Brady Shea was getting some of that ice time, so I think that his pace is it's higher than his usual pace, but that's because he's actually getting some of that power play ice right now. I'm holding him, and now we can talk about my guy.
Okay. No, valid points. I actually forgot about Tony D. That's
yeah, he was supposed to be the power play guy, and he ain't. So until they go in
great point.
Move some of those assets for who would be a good fit in Carolina is Tyson Barrie.
Yep.
Like that makes a lot of sense, assuming that they can insulate him the way that they would want to, but like they need a guy with that skill set there because Burns ain't cutting it. Not the way that they certainly aren't rolling 2 power plays the way they like to.
All right. So tell us about Alex Lyon. What do you think?
He's not getting enough starts.
I agree.
That's the big thing about Lyon is he's been very, very good. He was really, really good for Florida last year down the line. He was the reason Florida made the playoffs. Bob wasn't Bob yet, and Lyon really put him on his back. Got a really cheap deal in Detroit. He's been the 3rd goalie. And he'll put up a 1 goal against win, and then they start Reimer the next game. And then he does it again, and then they start Reimer the next game. He's coming off his first not great game necessarily.
Get a clunker.
But again, they're like they need to give him some leash and move one of those goalies. We talked about him earlier in the show, but I would love for the Oilers to scoop this guy up cheap if Detroit's not going to play him because he's a guy who has shown when he gets the ball, he can run with it, and he seems to thrive on adversity. Put that guy up against Skinner, and he might push for 1A for a while. I don't know if I want him in the playoffs, but I'll take him for the rest of the year. As far as is he worth it, I don't know. That's a tough. Probably not because those goalie roster spots. If he's your number 4, which he would be, or maybe you're in a bad way if he's your number 3. He's starting 1 game a week. So no, he's not worth having anywhere until he picks it up. But, as soon as he starts, like at some point, I think they'll probably give him 2 or 3 games in a row. And the day you see that he's starting for a 3rd game in a row, then you pick him up.
See, and I've already grabbed him. And so that's my concern is that he's going to do just that, right? They're finally going to give him the starts that he's due, because for anyone that hasn't been paying attention, he's posted a 4-2-0 record, a 213 goals against, and a 931 save percentage with 1 shutout. And Detroit is currently 1 point back of third in the Atlantic Division. Like, they look a lot better this year. So that's a guy that, if he just gets some starts, he could be a really valuable goalie for your roster. But Evan, what do you think?
I potentially could do the exact same thing he did in Florida last year. And so, you guys are bang on. If he gets the starts, he's done it. And so it's funny, goaltending and confidence and how that works. And it's Detroit's an interesting spot because Husso, neither of the other two goalies have put up the numbers that that Lions put up so far this year too. And so, if I was them, I would give him a shot.
All right.
Especially considering that, like, they need to move a goalie. Like, really, they need to move a goalie. Yeah. Why not give this guy, who's been your 3 based on your coaching all year, give him a shot, boost his value a bit, and move him if that's what if you're looking to move a guy, or if you want him over Reimer, then why are you playing him? Like, are we trying to boost Reimer's value? Because you're not. That's not Reimer's happening. Value is a third. The end.
All right. Let's move on to our cold segment here. So we've kind of already talked about him, Alex Ovechkin. I'm not sure how much more time we need to invest in this, but just 4 points, no goals in his last 10 games. I know that's breaking Bruce's heart because he's got Alexander Ovechkin. But again, just to reiterate, we expect a turnaround, but it's been frustrating to watch. Brandon Montour. Tyler, talk to me about Brandon Montour. 88% rostered in Yahoo, 92% in Fantrax. He's still playing catch-up, right? I mean, he's come back from injury, but he's got just 2 assists through 12 games. What do you do? Is it time to trade this guy? Are you going to be patient with him? What's your thoughts?
I'm assuming that you would have taken him probably pretty high. So you're probably going to hang on to him. But on pace for 14 points is that's not good.
It's not ideal. Not ideal. Ryan, what do you think?
I think he turns it around. I think he turns it around a little bit. He's not going to stay on being on pace for 14 points for the rest of the year. I think that injury probably didn't help things, but it'd be tough. It'd be tough for me to hold on to him.
I think he really outperformed his like he got lucky last year, right? I think that was an outlier season for him. I don't expect him to duplicate that, but man, has he been rough to start. And you got to remember, like Ryan, you said earlier, you don't miss all of training camp and the first month or so of the season and just come in and light things up, right? So
yeah, well, and I think the nice thing about Montour is I got him in one league, and I got him fairly late because he was supposed to be out till December. But you're talking about a guy whose career high before last year was 37 points. Didn't eclipse 20 points for like 6 years in between that. He's 30. Here's good news for the Montour owners is despite his point totals not being there, he has looked pretty good in Florida. He's been fairly snake bit. I think that you can expect a 50-point pace from him once he catches up in 3 weeks. So yeah, I'm still holding him. You're talking about your 5th 60 man, and a 50-point pace is, if you're getting a 50-point pace out of your number 60 man in any league, you're probably doing pretty good. So
I think that's a good point. You probably drafted him as a 4 through 6, given the injury issue, right? So you didn't pay that top end value for him at the draft, most likely.
Yeah, it was him and Eklund, right? Like I didn't see either of those guys go super high in any 1-year leagues. Granted, I'm only in 2 of them, but like no one was taking them in the first 8 rounds. So you got decent value there. I mean, if we hit February and he hasn't hit 10 points, I guess you could drop him because, I mean, here's my dilemma, and this is where I get trigger happy, is you see a guy like Nemec get called up to Jersey.
Sure.
And you got Montour on your roster and Nemec is there. And then Nemec gets 2 points in his first game. And then he gets 2 points over the next 2 games. And you're like, that's where I'm real guilty of pulling the trigger. I'll drop a Montour and I'll pick up a Nemec, and then Nemec gets sent down. So Montour is a guy who, I'm holding him, but like I'm really thinking about dropping him when certain players heat up. Perunovic starts getting some ice in St. Louis. I'd be like, now's the time for Perunovic finally, and it won't be.
Yeah. Evan, any other thoughts on Montour?
No, I think you guys pretty well covered it. Last year's playoff was just amazing out there, and it was like the ultimate hot streak. He just couldn't slow down. So, and like Ryan had pulled up those stats where like career high before last year was 30 points, and so last year was a revelation. But everyone's off a bit on Florida except for Sam Reinhart, and so I think like once everyone starts to get playing together again, I think they could go on a bit of a run here, and I'd probably hang on to him for a good chunk of the year, just hoping that you can find that magic again.
Okay, fair point. Evan, I'm going to right back to you and talk about Jakub Vrana, who 1% rostered in Yahoo, 24% in Fantrax. He was waived by St. Louis on Tuesday. He cleared waivers, 0 points in his last 7 games. He's typically been a productive player, 5v5, and maybe has 50, 60-point upside, but doesn't look like it's going to come to fruition this season. Any interest in Vrana in any format anywhere?
No. You're talking to a guy who held on to him for 3 years, waiting for him to break out, and I finally jumped ship last year. Just beyond hockey, like the red flags that surround this guy of being like shipped off on teams, being waived twice in 2 seasons. Rehab. Yeah, Detroit was pretty tight-lipped on exactly to the extent of that. But he had a great end of the season last year. I traded him for, I think, a second at the deadline last year. And I was kicking myself because, like, oh, shit, in St. Louis, he's picking it up and he's going to be good again. But nope. Again this year, same old problem. He's just not worth the headache to anyone.
And coaches hate him. He cannot play 5-on-5. Like, can't be trusted on a good team. Bad teams don't seem to want him either. Maybe he's more trouble than he's worth behind the scenes. It sucks because the guy's 5-on-5 rate is insane, and he's been flirting with that 40-goal mark as far as his advanced stats go. It's just a matter of ice, so give him the ice, and then we'll see 40 goals. But it's he's like the poor man's Nikolai Ehlers in that sense. It's just always leaves you wanting.
Tyler, anything else on Vrana?
Something's wrong with him. That's all.
That's it.
Something's wrong with him. Waste of time.
Alrighty. Last guy we got here for our cold segment is Neil Pionk, 33% rostered in Yahoo, 50% in Fantrax. He's got 0 points in his last 9 games and just 9 points in 27 games this season overall. Still has some value in category coverage, 2 hits a game over a block a game, 0.6 PIMs per game. But if you're rostering Neil Pionk, Tyler, are you dropping this guy for somebody else, or are you holding on, hoping he gets just a bit more offensive production?
I'd drop him. I despise Neil Pionk.
Don't we all?
So,
Oilers fans? You find me an Oilers fan who's like, great player.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
What did he do?
Just being himself.
He was
he's a pain in the ass to play against, for sure.
He was a star in that sweep against the Jets.
Sweep.
He was front row for a guy who should have taken 8 penalties, if not more. Took 0 penalties, shut down McDavid, and it was like, we don't like that guy. You and I were talking about him, Devin. Remember someone was saying there was a Darnell Nurse rumor with Hellebuck. And I said, if you could get Hellebuck and Pionk back for Nurse, and obviously we have to add a lot. But like, if you're taking Hellebuck, you need to get a guy from like Pionk as well, because you still sadly need to replace those minutes that Nurse plays, and Pionk would be a great fit for that. But I don't want him on fantasy.
All right, I'll agree. I mean, for me, I had no interest, especially with what Morrissey's doing there. It seemed like he almost came out of left field. Like Morrissey wasn't doing much, and they were kind of splitting power play time, and then all of a sudden it was like, you get all the power play time and you put up all the points, and now people actually care about you in terms of fantasy. So,
well, that's what he was drafted to do, though. Like,
for sure.
Morrissey was a stud in PA. Like, he played with Draisaitl.
Yeah, he was great.
He's only 28, and he's played 500 games, and really you could say he busted out around the 400 game mark, which is kind of
what you expect. Yeah,
kind of what you expect. So I don't know if anyone thought he was going to be a 76 point D man, but I mean him carrying the milk in Winnipeg, I think was always the plan. Pionk was a placeholder there for Morrissey. But Morrissey's
there you go.
Been great.
All right, boys. Well, I think that's going to do it for tonight's episode. We could go a few minutes longer, but I think we're gonna call it a night. It's past my bedtime. Tyler's got more dental issues he's got to deal with in the morning, so we'll let him get off to bed.
I got a PS5. I got to christen.
Okay, well there you go. Yeah, exactly. I was going to ask you. I was actually surprised we saw you. I thought you bail, go play PS5 till the late hours.
I accidentally bought the no disc version, so it's still downloading.
Oh, I feel so bad for you.
Yeah, totally.
Well, that's great. Well, Ryan, Evan, thanks so much for joining us, guys. Looking forward to having you guys on the show more, whether it's our Wednesday night episodes, Sunday night episodes, or just hearing that great Dynasty content from you as we move along. Tyler, it's always fun. I kind of miss your mo, though, buddy. Where's that lip sweater you've been rocking?
Well, I got COVID. I was sitting around the house for too long. I got bored, and I shaved it off. It was stupid.
Okay.
I regretted it immediately after.
Terrible move. Well, you get
Give me another month. Give me another month.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
All right. Well,
we'll have a World Junior show for you guys on Saturday.
Yes. So. We're really excited for that. So keep an eye out for that. Make sure that you're subscribed to Fantasy Hockey Hacks podcast on whatever platform you listen. Check out Heavy Hockey. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, heavyhockey.net. And then if you want to follow us on Twitter, it's at FHHacks. And that'll do it for another episode, guys. We'll keep an eye out for that episode on Saturday, and then we'll be back with an episode, a regular episode on Sunday night. Take care, boys.
See you guys
later.
Adios.